All right. Calculator practice. So if you just joined us, the back of your cover. So let's try this one first. We're going to go nice and easy here. Y equals x squared plus 5. We're going to tell ourselves what the window entries are for this to be visible on our screen, okay? And then we're going to find the vertex, the coordinates of the vertex, that is. We're going to find any x-intercepts there would be present, and we're going to find the y-intercept. Okay, so let's start with that. Grab your calculators. And these equations are going to be progressively more difficult so that you are forced to change your window. Okay? So let's start with this. We will press y equals. Once you press y equals, make sure everything is cleared. So you go press clear and let's make sure everything is gone. Every once in a while, students put one way at the bottom. So if you go all the way down, there's actually a Y0 at the very bottom of your screen. If you go all the, make sure nothing is in there either, because if something happens to be there, you're not going to see it, and it's going to graph it, and you're going to be like, where's that line coming from? Anyways, let's type this in. So we got to go x squared, right? We press this button. This is our x button right here. So x followed by squared. So press the x2 button plus 5. I hit enter. At this point, you should see the equal sign highlighted. If the equal sign is not highlighted, it's not going to graph it. Okay? So basically what you need to do, it should automatically highlight it, but if it's not, you have to press enter when you're on the equal sign. If I press enter now, for example, it's going to highlight it, and that's the only way it's going to graph it. Okay? Let's hit graph now. I see this on my calculator, but there's a big chance that you see something else. So let's press zoom standard. So zoom, I use zoom standard and zoom fit a lot. Zoom standard is my 6th option, and zoom fit, if you keep going down, zoom fit is my option number 0. Okay, that's zoom fit. So I'm going to do zoom standard first. I will tell you something about zoom standard. If you make changes to your window and it throws everything off, it's just not working for you, do a zoom standard to reset everything. Okay? So if I do zoom standard, it's going to show you a window that has, it goes from -10 to 10, -10 to 10, right? That's like a standard window. And what do you think? Is this a good window right now? Do I see enough? And I would argue, yes, you're actually seeing enough. Because is this ever going to cross the x-axis? Do we have any x-intercepts? No x-intercepts. Can we see the vertex? I would argue yes, it's the lowest point, like the vertex is the lowest point. And do I see my y-intercept? I see the y-intercept, it's crossing the y-axis. So technically, this is a good window. It's an okay window, right? There's a lot of blank space here, so I need you to understand the window. Just listen up for now, okay? Technically, we don't need any of this. So if I go press window, I can make changes to what I see. So let's press window all together. And again, I want you to focus on X-min, X-max. So X-min tells you how much you're going to see to the left of the screen. X-max is the limit on the right. Y-min is the limit on the bottom of your screen. Y-max is at the top. So I'm going to just tell you this. Make sure that the minimum is always smaller than the maximum. Like, that is a must. If you flip this, it's going to complain. It's going to give you an error. So the minimum is always lower than the max. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Y-min, which governs how much I see to the bottom, and I'm going to change it to like -1, because I don't need to see all the way to -10. I don't. So if you change y min to -1 and then hit graph again, -1, not minus. Look what happens if I go minus. If I go -1, it's the longer minus, right? It's not going to do anything. Did it automatically change it? Oh, wait. Once I hit enter, it's going to tell me something is wrong. Syntax is the way you wrote it. It doesn't like how you wrote it. So if I go, when you see an error, guys, try to select go to instead of quit. And it's sometimes going to highlight what it doesn't like. In this case, it doesn't like that. So I'm going to change it to a negative, hit enter, and now I'm going to graph. So what we did is we removed all of the negative values, pretty much all the negative values for y, and are only seeing at the top, right? So let's go to our window here. My window, it goes in this order. If I ever have that on my answer key, I tell you what the x min is, the x max is, the y min, and the y max. I tell you what those values are in that order. So what are these values for me at this point? Well, if you don't remember, press your window button. It's -10 to 10, -10 to 10, and my y min is -1 to 10. Right? So these are my window entries that I've used for this thing to work. Okay. But here's the good part, maybe to let you know. If you hit graph now again, it doesn't matter if you're super zoomed in or zoomed out. As long as you see the curve and the points you're trying to find, you're fine. Okay? You're okay. So let's find the vertex. Here's where I'm going to start changing things on you. What do we press to find the vertex in this case? We always press second trace for sure, right? If we want to find a point, you have to go second trace. And right, if you press second and then trace, it's going to give you some options here. We're only ever going to use 1 to 5, right? Minimum and maximum are the ones that allow you to find the vertex. In this case, it's what? A min or a max? It's a min, right? If you're ever not sure, it's the min, it's the lowest, right? So second trace, minimum. It asks you for a left boundary. So if this is the vertex, you gotta go over to the left with the arrow, okay? Hit enter anywhere. It doesn't matter how far away you are from the vertex as long as you are to the left, because it's asking for left boundary. Hit enter. Then you go over past the vertex to the right because it's asking for the right boundary. Hit enter. Enter one more time. And I'm glad this happened. I can't replicate this. It doesn't happen every time. Do you see this? As soon as you see E, E is times 10. Times 10 to the -8. X is a really, really small number. It is 0 for us. Right? We don't do significant values like in chemistry or whatever. Like for us, anything with an E, right, is 0. And you can tell that X is equal to 0. It's not moving sideways, right? So we're going to write down 0, 5. Okay? Our vertex, the coordinates of the vertex is 0, 5 for this particular parabola.
I thought -4.599
E something, right?
Yeah.
E negative?
-4.599.
Yeah, so it's still, that's what I mean, it's still 0.
Okay.
Yeah. It's still 0 no matter what, okay? So please don't be writing down negative 8.01. First of all, can that be negative 8.01? That would, like, this is -8 right about there. So technically this point should be over here if it's negative 8.01, right? That can't be. So anyways, I will just tell you, if you see E in this course, if you see E, it's too small of a number, especially if it's negative value following it. So it's just 0, 5. Okay? I'll maybe just make that note. Negative 8.01 E to the -8 what does that really mean? This is really negative 8.01 times 10 to the negative 8. I don't know how many of you are encounter this in some other courses. Some other courses you would not be saying 0, right? You would consider everything. But what this means is if you start with negative 8.01, right? If you write this down, times 10 to the negative 8, it means that you're moving this 8 spaces over the decimal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you fill those values that you've created with zeros, right? So this is 0.00000000801, okay? It's a very, very small number. So basically, I'm just going to tell you, we are just going to say that is 0. Like we don't need to worry about that degree of precision, okay? We don't, okay? All right, what about the x-intercepts? I will say NA, there are none, okay? I will say does not cross. Does not cross x-axis. Make sure you write this down, okay? That is why there are no x-intercepts. And then what's the y-intercept? Do I need my calculator for this? Is this in general form? No brackets, right? So that constant is my y-intercept. So it's 0, 5, okay? Mr. Dirksen, the vertex and the y-intercept are the same. Is that okay? Yes, it is okay. In this case, they're exactly the same. But how would you find this using the calculator if you don't catch it? It's second trace, what? Value. And then you let x equal to 0. Like if you're using the calculator, I need you to start telling me what you're pressing, okay? So let's do that though, just to practice. Second trace value, and you let x equal to 0, and it's going to be 5. There it is. Y is equal to 5, and then you have the coordinate there. I forgot something else here. For the vertex, this isn't quite complete. You got to go second trace, and we selected minimum. If you say min, that's fine with me, but just tell me what the keystrokes are. Like I'm going to start asking you for the keystrokes, right? That is showing your work. Okay. Okay. I'll give you some more to practice. I want you to find the vertex, the x-intercept, or intercepts. It will depend. And the y-intercept. Okay. So here are some more. This is the second one. Try this one. H of x is equal to negative 1.75 x squared plus 7x plus 9. You're going to tell me what the vertex is, the x-intercepts, and the y-intercept. Yes. And remember, every single equation gives you a little bit of information already as to what it's going to look like. For example, what does that negative tell me at the front of this x squared term? It's going to be pointing down. Okay, that negative tells me this one is pointing down. So type that into your calculators, make it appear, make sure you see everything. You see the vertex, you see the intercept, x-intercept, the y-intercept, and then try to find those actual coordinates, and I'll help you out if you run into some issues. And I will give you the third one already. Sounds scary. Okay, so can I I'm going to ask you to go to the second one, and if you don't want to enter it, that's fine. I kind of cheated a little bit. So I'm turning off the next question. I'm just entering this one right now. I select equal sign for that one. And I'm just going to graph that one. Let's assume that my window was different. Here's what I want to tell you, okay? Listen carefully. The zoom features are not a must. They're there to help you if you need to use a zoom. It makes it a little faster to let's say reset. But look at this curve. I see the x-intercepts, I see the y-intercept. All I need to see is the cap, right? Like the vertex. So what should I change in this window? What's the only thing that I really need to adjust on my window? What's the top limit? That's governed by the y max, right? On my window. So I'm going to go window. And this is where students are like, what should I do? You try it, right? It's kind of like you try numbers until it works. I went 30. That is a perfect graph, okay? And so to find the vertex, I kind of know, right? This is 2 something, right? So let's see, trace, you have to select maximum, or else if you select minimum, it's going to try to find it. It's not going to find it. This cursor should be blinking in that location once you found it. So left boundary, hit enter. I'm going to go to the right, hit enter, enter again. It's blinking there. This rounds to 216, okay? So I would do this for my keystroke, second, trace, max, right? That's all I want to see somewhere around that vertex. It tells me that you know what you're doing. For the x-intercepts, I'm doing this trick where I let another line be 0, okay? So it's a little weird because this is black. It's hard to see the difference, but there are 2 lines, right? You're finding the intersection between the 2 lines. Second trace 5. By the way, guys, when you do second trace 5, just go close to the intersection you're trying to find, and then it's enter 3 times. Enter, enter, enter. You're giving it a point on the first curve, you're giving it a point on the second curve, and then you're letting it find it for you, okay? So that's where I got my first intersection. It's negative 1.02. 0. Please don't just go over with your cursor and try to estimate it. You're not going to get the marks. You have to show me the exact, okay? So this would be y2 is equal to 0. Second trace intersect. That's what I did. This would be considered the keystroke to find the x-intercept. It's a classic. You're going to use it all the time. Okay, so it's something that you will just memorize. The y-intercept, because this is in general form, I could just state it. But if you're if you're drawing a blank, you go second trace value, you let x equal to 0 and y is equal to 9, right? By the way, look up here, okay, second trace value. I could type in any value I want. If I go x is equal to 5, y is equal to 0.25. So we're going to use these functions for other things down the road. Like how high is the ball above ground 5 seconds after being thrown? That's what we're going to do later on. Right now we're just focusing on the x-intercepts, the y-intercept, and the vertex because that's all we need to graph. Okay? I'll do one more. Let's do this one here together. So one thing that I need you to understand, I'm going to clear this. So I'm having this typed into Y2. I want you to make sure you type this in brackets, the 4/5. And then you hit graph. This is what I see in my current setup. Do I need to use zoom for this one? Not necessarily, because I see the legs. I just need to chase. I call it chasing the curve, guys. We're chasing the curve now. We're chasing it down into the valley. So what do I need to change on this one for my window? Come on, I'm calling 1-800-HELP. What would I change? Y min. This is a Y thing, right? If it's the top or the bottom, it's a Y issue. And in this case, it's specifically Y min. So I'm going to go negative 30. Oh, almost. Negative 40. Boom. That is a pretty good graph. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to try zoom because it's all I need. Why do you teach us about zoom then, Mr. Erickson? Because these are going to get pretty crazy, like sometimes in the hundreds and the thousands. So sometimes the zoom is going to allow you to at least see part of the curve, and then you're going to chase the curve from there, changing your window parameters. So did I already give you the key? I already gave you the key. The important thing is to know that this is a second trace minimum. Okay, so I'm going to go to the left. I'm going to go to the right. 1.24, negative 31.23. If you round it to 2 decimals, I would put second trace min. Okay, for that one. Can you see that? I'm not sure if you can. X-intercepts, there are 2. Okay, there are 2 of them. I already have y3 is equal to 0. Notice that y1 I'm not using. It's fine to do it that way. It's a bit of a trick that you can develop over time. Like if you're doing your homework, you want to have 5 different ones in here so you can go back to the one that you've done before. Why not? Okay. So anyways, second trace 5, you travel. This is important. If you're kind of like in between and you hit enter 3 times, it's going to find the one that's closest to where you started your selection. So in this case, I found the one to the right, which is 7.49. If you want to now find the other one, you go second trace intersect again. Now you need to travel, I'm going left arrow, to that other one. This is close enough. Right now you're closer to this one, so if you hit enter 3 times, it's going to lock into the one that it's closest to. Right? So intersection there, those are my x-intercepts. For y-intercept, this is already in general form, so it is negative 30, but again, second trace value, x is equal to 0, y is equal to negative 30. That's what we expected, right? So I hope that this helped you figure out. Can we just, I don't know how many got to this one. Can we at least type it in and make sure we see it? I'm not going to actually find the vertex or anything like that. Make sure you see this because this one is a little crazier, right? This one goes all the way to 80. So I'm going to go negative 4.95 x squared plus 49.75 x plus 80. Okay, you hit that. I'm making sure that, yeah, please take that extra second to check, did I type it in exactly the same? It takes 1 or 2 seconds to verify. It's very frustrating. Let's say you mistype, it might be a completely different function just because of that one typo. Hit graph. So this is what you're going to start encountering. You just see one of the legs, right? Would you agree, without even going further, which way is this one pointing? It's doing this, right? Because of that negative. So I know that this graph is going like this, right? If I could trace it, it would probably be outside the screen right now. So let's try a zoom. I think I would honestly prefer you just using your window functions. But if you wanted to do zoom, let's see if this works. Zoom standard is probably not a good idea. Yeah, it's not going to do it for me. How about zoom fit, Mr. Dirksen? You told me to use zoom fit. Let's see. Not bad. Zoom fit did a pretty good job. You still need to chase this right side here. So window, if it's left or right, it's going to be one of the x's. So x max, let's see, 40 here. I went overkill. 40 is too much, but it doesn't hurt. As long as you see it, you will find it. Okay? As long as you see the points, you can find them. So this is what I have. Why is it so bright? Hold on one second. There, sorry. So that's what I mean. I wanted you to be comfortable with using your calculator, okay, before I jump into 9, okay? So now we're going to go graph by hand, okay?